Welcome to Heart on the Table, a tarot-inspired podcast for mothers, healers, and humans in the messy middle of becoming.
Two therapists, two moms, one card at a time.
Every other week, we pull a tarot or oracle card
and explore its symbolism through the lenses of trauma healing, attachment theory, motherhood, and intuitive wisdom.
Together, we weave our clinical therapy knowledge
with personal connections to motherhood, spirituality, magic, and womanhood.
Reflecting on what it means to mother yourself and others.
Across timelines, triggers, and transformations.
I'm Bree Levitt, licensed clinical social worker.
And I'm Miranda Peterson, licensed clinical social worker.
It's part sacred space,
part cozy couch chat.
Expect laughter, insight, and a whole lot of heart.
I just had a patient who was coming back just to visit their baby who was still at the hospital.
Yeah.
And she said, I've been having some gushes. And is that okay? And I asked her the normal questions. Are you soaking a pad in an hour? She's like, not really, but it's really big gushes. It's like almost. And one of the OBs met her in the elevator. She showed her pictures of the pads. And she's like, oh, I think you're fine. I had talked to the nurse who was escorting her down. And I was like, I don't think this is okay. I think she needs to go to the ER. And she trusted her own gut as well that said, get her checked out. And it turns out she had some retained product.
Oh my gosh. Crazy.
Yeah. And more nurses need to listen because there's actually one problem that can happen. And I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I think it's a placental PE, or it's basically a PE caused by birth products. And it might be an amniotic PE. I can't remember.
What does PE stand for?
An embolism. And they'll say, I feel like I'm going to die. And they can't explain why. But that is the sensation that almost every person that I've heard stories that they did find one, they said, I felt like I was going to die. Or the patient stated, I feel like I'm going to die.
One of the symptoms for preeclampsia, too, was just like a feeling of perpetual doom. I saw on one website, and I was like, that's interesting. I remember when I was after giving birth, I remember being in the hospital one night when things were supposed to be feeling better and just feeling my heart beating out of my goddamn chest. And I couldn't sleep because I felt that doom feeling where I was just like, I don't feel right.
Was that before he was born?
After. That was after he was born. Don't know when, but it was I think it may have been the night before the Monday where I had to be put back on magnesium and my blood pressure was at 190 or something. But I remember that night, do I normally feel my heart beating? Can I normally hear it? Here's my next question. What do you remember, if anything, about my birth or my postpartum experience and how you supported me?
All right. Are you ready for the tears?
Yeah.
Okay. When I had you, you were on MAG. I think it was still the first round. MAG makes you feel like garbage. It makes you feel kind of lightheaded and dizzy. It puts you into this foggy brain. It's meant to decrease your muscle. It's like a muscle relaxant. So it's meant to make you feel weak, right? Because we're trying to avoid the seizure. And so that's why we put you on this muscle relaxant. And you were already feeling like garbage when I got you. And I totally forget sometimes that you even had a C-section because my focus was on, she's on MAG, she feels like garbage. And I found out that you had not seen your baby yet. And I kept pushing you all day.
Yeah.
Like, we should go see your baby. We should go see your baby. And you were like, I'm not ready. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then I'd come in and check on you again. And you'd be like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. And I'm like, well, let's go see your baby then. And she was like, no, I don't think I'm ready. And at some point, I got kind of aggressive about it because I think I talked to your husband at some point too. And he's like, she is very anxious. And I was like, oh, I get that because I have a lot of anxiety. And my firstborn is also an extremely anxious person. So I got a little more aggressive because you're anxious. I was like, you need to go see your baby. You need it. You need this to feel better about the situation. And I don't know why I was so pushy about it. Maybe I also think I'm an empath. And I think I feel people's emotions a lot.
Yeah.
And I do sometimes think that I have one of the Claires.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
What Claire, I don't know.
Sure. I agree. I'm the same way. Yeah.
But I just really felt like you needed to go see your baby. And so I kind of stuck with that. I was like, I know she feels like garbage. And I don't push most moms on Mag to do a lot. In fact, I'm very lenient about it. And I'm just like, she needs to go see her baby.
Yeah.
And you did. You finally agreed.
Yep.
We got you in a wheelchair. It was quite a to-do because
it
of
was.
the lines, and there's that physical weakness and just making sure you're not like screwing things up.
And I kept getting so lightheaded every
You
time
did.
I would sit up. That's why I kept being like, I can't get down. But I was also emotionally struggling.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And you know, it's wild because like somebody who is dizzy, I do not usually push them to get up and go do
Yeah.
anything because that's more work for me.
Totally.
Like I got to get 2 people to come. And so I'm hoping that somebody's even available to help me get you into a wheelchair. I don't even remember who we used. Did we use Tori?
I have
Or did
no
I get
fucking idea. I was still really out of it when we finally made it out of the room.
And then on top of that, because NICU doesn't want the liability of them as a patient in there, they cannot be left alone.
Yeah.
So I had to like make sure I had the time to sit there and not have to go do anything else too. But so it's weird
Yeah.
that I pushed for this so hard, but I did. And I remember your blood pressures were iffy. I remember thinking, I'm so glad that I have her because most of our nurses they haven't had to deal with the blood pressure protocols. They haven't had to deal with hemorrhages. When I got report on you, you were a hot mess. And I was like, oh my gosh.
It's funny because I don't even think I know how, like, because I think the back end of the notes seem to be, because I remember that Monday, Stephanie, she was one of the cute, or not Stephanie, it was a different girl, Samantha.
They were together.
They were together that day. But I remember Samantha said, like, I keep reading your notes trying to figure out, like, how did we get here, girl?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and she was insinuating that, like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you had hemorrhaged.
Mm-hmm.
You were on MAG before and you were on MAG after.
Yep.
And your baby ended up in the NICU.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you are what we call a hot mess patient.
Yeah.
So and most of our nurses on postpartum have not had to deal with a lot of hemorrhages either. And so I was like, but I've had to deal with all of those from my time in Alaska.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I'm glad that I've got her. And I don't even remember. I think you were my only patient that day because you were.
I remember you telling me that. I think you told me, like, you're my only patient today.
Yeah. And I think it was because you were such a mess.
I can feel my body absolutely having like a trauma response, even talking about all of this, which I think is just like so, like, how just we speak, and I speak all the time about how trauma lives in our body. Like, I can feel myself just like shaking. And I'm like, what is my heart rate? Because I'm like, I can just feel it.
Ugh, you're making me cry. I don't remember a lot about the conversations that we had,
Yeah.
but I do remember, like, I feel like we joked around a little bit.
I think we did.
Yeah.
And I think Tori also got on board with that pretty quickly too.
Yeah. I think I did give him a little bit of a hard time about some stuff.
Yes.
And then later I found out, like, he probably didn't deserve it.
But he can take it.
Yes.
Because I remember when you came in the second time, I think he then gave you shit. And he was like,
yes.
Great. She's back. And you were like, wait. What do you mean? And he was like, I'm just fucking with you.
For a hot minute, I was like, oh, dang. I thought we got along great.
Yeah.
And then, but I remember actually, Tori, he came out at some point and he's like, she hasn't seen her baby yet. And it's been almost 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I really think that she would benefit from it. And I think that's part of why, like, I'm a very literal person sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this is my mission in life. I will do nothing.
But I will get her down to see her baby.
And so you can have him to thank. But yeah, he told me one time and I was just like set in stone. I was like, this has to happen.
Yes.
Despite all of the things going on.
And I did need it.
You did need it.
Like I did. Oh, it sucks.
Yeah.
And you know, I still look at Grayson and just like, I think I will always be grieving that like that was the beginning.
Yes.
For us.
Yes.
You know, I will always grieve that.
I think when he told me you hadn't seen that baby and that he thought you would benefit from it and that you're also very anxious, right? All of those things. I was like, oh, I can relate. I can relate to her. And on top of that, I thought, I need to make sure that this does not affect her bond with this baby because with my first one, I look back on it now and I thought, I feel like my bond with him is strained because of the postpartum depression that I was going through.
Yeah.
That was so bad. And I wonder how things would have been different. And I thought, man, if she's got anxiety and she's got this extremely traumatic birth experience, I've got to do everything that I can in my powers to make sure that this does not affect her bond. And I will drag her from her bed if I have to.
I remember you so persistent.
Hold that
like,
baby.
Fuck. Like I'm with you. Like I want to go see this baby, but like I was like, fuck, like I do not feel good. But I needed to go down there. Like I remember that I just kept watching the clock pass and just being so like, how could this be? You know, like I haven't even been down there to see him.
Yeah.
It just really sucked.
Yeah.
And then I remember Monday came around and I thought I was fucking dying. Like when my blood pressure spiked back up. And there's like the older doctor who's like an on-call doctor.
Dr. Lake.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was so sweet on Monday.
Is he's a bigger one? He looks
Bigger,
like he's
tall, older. Yep,
yeah.
Definitely.
We do have two older ones, but
it was Dr. Lake because I remember he was there when I was admitted and he was there that Monday. I mean, everybody was there that Monday when my blood pressure spiked all the way back up. Everybody was all of a sudden in my room.
I had her at first on that Monday. But because she was going to end up going back on MAG, you became a 1-to-1 again.
Yep.
And they couldn't spare me. So you got put with labor nurses.
Yeah, and they were amazing. Yeah. I loved both of them too. Like they were so awesome.
Yeah.
Stephanie, she was awesome.
Yeah.
But I remember Dr. Lake, he like came into my room and I looked at him and I was like, am I getting out of this hospital? And he grabbed my face and he was like, you're going to be okay. He was like, that was such a tender moment from like, wow. I just needed that. And he just looked me right in the eyes and he was like, you're going to be okay. But it was just, man, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, something that I put on here, this is going to be like a 2-parter episode, I think. I think we can release it. Like, you're crying, we're all crying. I think that we'll probably release like the first half of this. And maybe I'll try and edit the first half by this Monday. One thing that I remember that really meant a lot to me when you came into my room that first day and you were leaving and you put the affirmations on my board. That meant so much to me. And it was in that moment that that was when I felt like so connected to you, because I was just like, I just needed that. And I remember one of them was like, my body will heal. And you made me do it, because as a therapist, I'm like, yes, affirmations. And then as an individual, I'm like, stupid. Don't let my clients hear that. Maybe it's, I tell all my therapist clients, like, listen, we are humans too. Okay. Yes. Like, I know these things work. And so when you put them on my board, you made me think of some. You were like, what are some affirmations? Like, what can we?
Okay. Question. Did I even know that you were a social worker at that point?
I don't think so, because I definitely was not in the right mind to be handing out like, so I'm a therapist. No, I don't think so.
Isn't that crazy?
Yep. Which is
I don't with any patients.
Yeah.
I don't put affirmations on their board.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I did with you. You're the only person I've ever done that with.
That's so crazy.
I know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I was like, she's handing out affirmations on a platter to everyone. No, I needed that. Like, I really did. Like, it very much grounded me.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it was just something that I kept like feeling connected to, and I would keep looking at them on the board. Like, and then I remember the next day, I was like, where did that magical nurse go? Like,
I think I had day off.
I think you did. Yeah. I was like, bring her back. And then when you came back, I think it was, let's see, it would have been Sunday. I remember you came in the room and then you walked out, and I looked at Tori and I was like, I'm just so relieved that she's back. And coming back to everything that we've talked about, I just really think every nurse there was definitely being tender. I really, really believe that you were the one nurse who I felt really understood the gravity and the magnitude of what was going on for me emotionally, and took the time to like sit with that. And I needed that. And in the trauma of it all, that changed the experience and the way that I even can look back on it.
I'm so glad.
I think that I've talked on the podcast a little bit too about the time that you took me outside. That was the night before I got discharged, but I had a little panic attack because I had blood gushes coming out that were normal.
Yes.
But I had been stationary for so long that it was still freaking me out. Once I was starting to feel better and getting up and moving around, I was going pee and all this blood was coming out.
And I don't think she had quite connected the fact that you had hemorrhaged previously.
I didn't. I don't even know when. When did I hemorrhage?
Right after.
Right after?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I think you were still in the OR.
Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I do remember Dr. Pack. Yep. Pack. I remember when I was in the OR, I do remember a little bit of a hustle all of a sudden. Like, I remember all of a sudden the room kind of changed. And I think she did say, like, there was a word that she said that I picked up on, but they were so good at hiding that it was an emergency.
Yes.
So I had no idea. I didn't really know that I hemorrhaged. I didn't really know what that meant. But yeah, so that night, the night before I got discharged, which I was very much looking forward to going home the next day, having a baby in the NICU and being able to look forward to going home were two things that I thought were not going to be able to coexist. The Friday that I had delivered, the day after delivery. But after being in the hospital for so many days, I was ready to go home and get out of the four walls of it was like the yellow wallpaper. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that story. It's like a short story about a woman who goes, it's like psychosis-y, crazy, like peeling up the wallpaper in her room. I was feeling that, okay? But that night, I started bleeding. You were off. You were about to leave. And then I hit the emergency button in the bathroom, and both you and Amber came running in. And I was panicking, and you were like, you know what? Let's just get out. Like, you need to go outside. And it's funny because you did end up getting me outside, and you took my socks off and you made me put my feet in the grass, which again was just something that I really needed until homeboy that we thought was about to shoot up the hospital really cramped my vibe in that moment. So I'm out there sticking my feet in the grass, enjoying my peace, enjoying the fresh air. And all of a sudden, this dude comes out from around. It's like comedic relief.
Back area,
where dressed in like camouflage with a big old bag. And Lindsay,
and he stops in front of the door, and he's just looking.
It was weird. And you know what? This is when I was like, oh, we think the same. Because you look at me, I'm already having the thought, and you go, he's giving like mass shooter vibes. And I was like, the fuck he is.
She ditched me.
So my ass, who got wheelchaired down, I could walk. All of a sudden, I could actually run.
She's leaving me behind to gather the shoes and the socks and the wheelchair.
Listen, I'm like, I've already been through enough. My baby's upstairs.
That part of the story.
Yes. So I run.
And I'm like, please don't pass out.
Falling here the fuck. So we get back inside, and I am in the elevator, and she's at the front desk, like, there's a guy, like, I think we need to like tell security.
Yeah,
and
because I told her that as I'm trying to keep up with her. I'm like, we should tell them so they can get security on this. Back.
But then she's like, wait, and I hold the elevator. And she looks at me, she's like, we need to get you back up to the 3rd floor because that floor like double locks or some shit. It'll be on lockdown if.
Because she was like, my baby, I don't want anybody coming in for my baby. I'm like, don't worry, you have to get through 2 security points to get to your baby.
But I was like, what the fuck? Talk about string of bad luck.
Yeah.
Absurd.
And mind you, we also found out that the cops were looking for a guy who escaped the ER at the same time.
But it wasn't that guy, right?
No.
Oh, no. Something was in the air.
Yeah. Somebody the cops had picked up and put under observation escaped the ER, and they were looking for him at the same time. And I didn't know it yet. And then this guy, like, was it the same person?
That was bizarre.
Yeah.
What was he doing? That was
I
weird.
know.
It was weird. You know,
it still doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And you know, he may have changed his mind what he was there for. That was weird.
He stood in front of the doors. He watched it for a while.
It was
and then he started
walking
off,
away.
and that's when she was like, opportunity.
But it was weird because he walked off and he still kind of like
was slowly walking.
Slowly
and,
stopping, looking.
Yeah.
It was weird.
He stopped more than
And I don't
once.
know what was in that bag, but it was something large.
Yeah.
Did they ever like
No.
find him?
We didn't figure out
It was
where he went.
very weird.
Yeah.
I don't know, like something by the grace of God that day was like, not today, sir. Like it was weird. That was weird. Can't explain it.
Yeah.
But like the fact that happened, the 1 5-minute period that I leave the hospital.
Right? She was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done with this.
Yeah. Crazy. So I was very disappointed because I was really having a good vibe out there. And then it was like I had to really wrap it up.
Which probably did not help her blood pressure at all.
No. Oh my gosh.
It definitely did not help the anxiety. That's for sure.
I remember like laying back down in the bed in my room and just feeling like, fuck, like, that's my biggest fear. I got actualized there. And I was like, I'm never getting out of here.
Right.
Like,
And then I was really terrified to leave her because I'm like, I just made it worse.
you did offer to stay. You were like, I can stay with you if you want me to. But I was like, girl, you're alive. But now I'm like, I don't know. I've met your husband. Now I probably would have been like, you can stay.
I know. She's like, I don't want to keep you from your husband and kids. I'm like, they're fine.
Like, you were like, he's a retired, like, he's stay-at-home dad. Like,
Yeah.
he's good.
Yeah. They
So
don't need
funny.
me.
The whole experience just feels like a fever dream, especially with how it ended. The last night of so bizarre. But anyway, you getting me outside, I did need that. I did really need that. What I was getting at was like, I just feel like even starting the interview with really talking about the emotional piece, I just don't know as a society here in America, all of our podcasts always emphasize like here in America, here in the United States, we just don't emphasize it. We don't put enough attention on it. We don't put enough support on that. And that is just a very fragile time for a mom, especially if it doesn't go how you expected.
Yeah.
And the fact that you were present for my whole postpartum experience was just like very divine.
I think so too.
It really changed. You know, I told you guys I was having like a trauma reaction in my body talking about it a little bit earlier. But I just like you being there really added like a softness to my experience and me being able to look back on it with some grace.
I'm so glad.
And I have a lifelong friend because you really just meant so much to me in that experience. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's see how we want to wrap up here.
You remember our emo talk though?
You don't?
Our emotional talk? I gave you the emotional talk that I told you, like I kind of started the podcast explaining where with similar to the patient.
Yes, I can feel it in my body, but I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I feel like I remember you doing that with me too.
Yes. I had a student nurse
Oh, I
at one
remember.
point. And when I was in Alaska, she watched me have these talks with people.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I love your emo talks. And I was like, what? And she's like, your emotional talks.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, yeah, okay. Because I always picture emo like the 90s emo.
I picture like 2000s, like eyeliner. Yeah.
But we did. And I don't even remember if I knew you were, I feel like I did at that point. I knew you were a social worker. And I was like, hey, I know you know this.
I do remember that.
And I said, but
Yeah.
I want you to allow yourself to grieve that loss.
I remember that. It's funny because I had the 2 social workers that came to visit me in the time that I was in the hospital. Listen, I'm not trying to be bitchy, okay? Because this is so bitchy, but I'm just being bitchy for a second.
Laugh if you decide to include it.
Listen, they came in, and the first one came in, and I started crying immediately because I was like, a social worker, like emotional, right? Emotional support. The second that I was like, I'm a social worker too, they were like, oh, so you know. I'm like, girl, that's not what I needed from you right now. Okay. Yeah. And then I had another one come in. She was like, so you know all the things. I'm going to tell you what, the last thing I tell my therapist clients is, so you know. Because I have a couple clients that are also therapists.
What would you tell your client?
Oh, God, I hate that question. What would you tell them? I tell them actually what I say to my therapist clients when they go, but like, I'm a therapist. I say all the time, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I'm glad I had that emo talk with you then.
Yeah. Yep. I tell them all the time, it doesn't matter because I don't care if you're a therapist. You are a human. Like, you are a human. That trumps everything you know. That trumps your master's degree in mental health. Like, I don't care. And I tell them that point blank. Like, no. I don't care. I'm like, no. Doesn't matter. I don't care. Like, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because being a therapist does not make you immune from life's emotions. So you, instead of the social workers who were like, oh, we don't have to worry about you then, like we're on to the next one over here.
I was the one who said, I know you know this,
yes.
But I'm going to give you the talk anyways.
Yeah.
I think that's word for word what I said to her.
I think it was too. Yep.
And I said, here's my talk. As moms, we tend to shove our emotions down to try to be strong for everybody else. But you went through a traumatic experience.
Yep.
And I don't want you to compare it to others. This is having a baby in the NICU is a PTSD experience. And your experience especially is very much going to cause PTSD.
Yeah.
And I don't want you comparing it to other people's PTSD and trying to excuse it away because a traumatic experience is a traumatic experience regardless of how it happened, regardless of comparing it. And that doesn't matter because this is your lived experience. And I'm giving you the validation.
Yeah.
It was traumatizing.
Yep.
And so I want you at some point to allow yourself the time to grieve.
Yes, I remember it.
I'm giving you permission to take the time to grieve that loss because you did not get the birth experience that you wanted, that you dreamt about for 9 months. So please allow yourself that time at some point. It doesn't have to be now. You can do it when you're ready. But please take that opportunity. And I'm validating you right now that this is a loss.
Yep. And I hope that if anyone is listening to this, like, you hear that, because like you're saying, it's just so easy to minimize. And in the culture of just like birth, there's a lot of like, well, at least.
Yes. And especially with babies that are in the NICU, when I have those moms, I always have the emo talk, and I said, do not let anybody tell you, but at least your baby's alive.
Yep.
I said, there is no buts in this situation. There is nothing to excuse away and justify, because what you're going through is scary. And please don't let anybody minimize that for you. And I remember I had this one couple, and I gave them that talk, and they said, they're already starting to do it. And I said, don't let them.
Yep. I think people are so uncomfortable with just sitting with really the trauma of that experience for a woman, for a mom.
And you know what's funny about that is that I feel like my whole entire life, I've been that awkward person where you're like, how are you doing? And I'm like, not great. Or I will be honest about the shit that I'm going through or the awkwardness of situations. Like, I'm very honest about them. I make other people uncomfortable with how honest I am about things. And so I think that's kind of what makes it perfect for me.
Yeah.
And that's why I love being one of the nurses who addresses that.
Because I think it's not scooting around the reality of it.
Yeah.
And I remember, so quickly too, people started to do that to me. Like, he's going to be okay. Or, at least he's not on oxygen or like this and that. And I'm like, I get it, everyone. I get that. And like, this is just horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And when I first got home after having him and being discharged from the hospital, I was really riding on the coattails of like, finally I'm home for a couple of days,
Mm-hmm.
And then as the days begin to pass and you don't have your baby at home with you,
Yeah.
it is just excruciating. Like, I remember, fortunately, the weekend before he came home, and I say fortunately, as we're talking about not minimizing and not the well at least, but I was trying to nurse him, and they tell you in the NICU, I've heard, sometimes the fastest way to get the baby home is to just let him eat from the bottle because they can measure it. The nurses know. Like, the weekend before he came home, I was sick, and it was the first time I couldn't go see him, and I was really beginning to lose it on that Sunday because I was just like, this is so unfair. I remember I only was taking off like a certain number of weeks from work because I'm self-employed and I'm losing income, taking this time off. And I remember telling Tori, like, I am taking this time off to be with our baby, and our baby's not here. Like, I'm wasting this time. Like, and we don't even know when he's going to come home. And I just was feeling so raw. He was only in there for 21 days. But like, I'm comparing over here.
I know you said only.
Only I met moms, right, who were walking down there and they're on like month 3. And it's hard not to compare. And I know not to. I know that my experience is valid. I know that it was excruciating for us. But like just every day that passes is the worst. And to know that the nurses are there taking care of him, which they are the best people. The NICU nurses are amazing. But it's like, I remember going in there and feeling like it wasn't my baby.
It was their baby.
It was their baby. Because I'm like, can I touch him? Can I change his diaper? Can I feed him? Like, is it even an optimal time for me to pick him up and hold him?
Yeah.
Like, you don't feel like it's your baby.
And they have control of even the monitors that you get to watch at home because they can turn it off when they're doing cares.
Turn it off. Yep.
They forget to turn them back on.
Yep. That would happen. Sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm at home in the middle of the night pumping and my baby is not here.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, okay, this is good for me. When I got home, really, I was like, I need to get some rest. Like I really did. I can look back on it now and say that like, that was honestly good for me when we got home without Grayson because I was so traumatized and I was such an emotional wreck that I really, really needed to rest and get some sleep and not come home immediately and deal with the baby. It was kind of like for me to be able to heal and then bring him home. It was what I probably needed.
Yeah.
Is it still at the same time completely unfair? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't really know where I was even going with that, but it's just.
Because it didn't feel like your baby.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm sitting in the middle of the night pumping, just like where this is so painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I want to ask you like a question to wrap up. What has being present at so many, not at birth, but what has like being present
at birth?
Okay, fair. Your transitioners. What does this say? What has being present at so many births just taught you about life?
I always say that the first few days of life are your hardest. And people think, no way, like being an adult is way harder.
Yeah.
And I say, no, you know how to breathe on your own. You know how to eat on your own. You know how to take care of bodily functions on your own. And you know how to communicate. Are we good at communicating? No. But we know how. And those first 2 days, especially when you are trying to figure that out, that's hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think people should respect that more and take in the miracle of it. The fact that you go from this environment of not having to do any of those things. Literally, how do we even survive in the womb? It's wild.
I know.
And then just the process of being exposed to air for the first time triggers a nerve that all of a sudden your heart functions the way it's supposed to. Your lungs start working, and you're supposed to do this all on your own. Also, taking into some social work aspects, Erickson's stages of development, it says the very, very first stage during the first 2 years, trust versus mistrust. And that was another reason why I pushed for you to go see that baby, because I needed that baby to bond with you.
I know.
And trust you.
Yes.
Because that's why I hate when even older generations come in and they're like, oh, put that baby down. You don't want to spoil that baby. No, spoil that baby.
It's attachment, which is another reason why that was so important to me, that you really pushed my down there, because I will tell you what, my trauma brain and what I am trained in was sitting there the whole time thinking about how much trauma this would be for Grayson. Yeah.
And especially being a boy.
Yep.
Because that bond, that parental bond for men, I feel like is so much more crucial than it is for females.
They are behind. Like, they are actually born emotionally behind girls.
Wow.
So they do actually need more nurturing
Wow.
than little baby girls. That's actually a fact.
Yeah. My first two, I used this like eat, sleep, play training method. And I feel like they're not as emotionally with it as
Like
my
intelligent.
later two, where I just focused on
Spoiling that baby.
I baby wore the third and the fourth. And yeah,
Yep.
but the other ones I'd put down because I didn't want to spoil them.
Yes.
They need to be spoiled. They need to be held.
It's attachment.
Yes.
Like,
They need to trust that you are there for them.
Yes.
And they are literally learning how to actually choose life and learning these like they're feeling hunger for the first time.
yep.
And they don't understand it. And their only form of communication is to cry. So if your baby's crying, just hold your baby.
Yes.
Just hold them and love them. And if they need to be held when they're sleeping, like what? Then they know. They know you're going to be there for them. They know that they can trust you, which forms the trust for the rest of their life.
Yep.
The ability
Secure
to trust.
attachment. Mm-hmm.
I feel like all of this is so important and it doesn't get talked about enough, like with the education that we have in attachment and how important that is.
Yes.
And also at the same time, like, I know we talked earlier about wanting those like women's circles or wanting that village, and to hear that so much of the knowledge that's passed down is to just put the baby down.
Yes.
Like, that's disheartening.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me sad to think that, we've outsourced so much of our intuition. To
Outsourced
realize,
intuition.
With our later experiences or with like our later babies, that we do things differently.
Yeah.
And if you could speak directly to every new mother listening right now, what would you say?
Oh, I have so much to say. I don't think we have enough time. I think that's a whole separate podcast. I've said a ton though. Like I said, don't come in with a hard fast. This is how birth plan. Be flexible. I think the biggest thing you can say, I'd love it but if we can't, that's okay. You know, that's the attitude you need to have.
Mm-hmm.
If we could make this happen, that'd be great. If it doesn't turn out that way, that's okay. And the other thing is advocate for yourself. Advocate for yourself and advocate for your baby. Because I think a lot of people are afraid to. And I think some nurses come in really bossy, really controlling. And it's okay to advocate for yourself. If you don't, nobody else is going to.
Yeah.
And love on that baby. Also, put your husband to work, man. That's the other thing. Put your husband to work. Nurses are not your servants. I know that we're going more towards hospitality mentality on hospitals, but I assign the dad's tasks. I'll be like, you know what? Your wife grew that baby for 9 months and she pushed that baby out or got that baby out somehow. And the least you can do is track the feeds for her and fill up her water every time she breastfeeds because she's going to know dehydration like no other.
Truly. Mm-hmm.
And if you have a prenatal class, take it because there's so much that is not warned about.
Yeah.
I could probably do literally a whole entire podcast with you guys about what is not pre-warned.
I think that would be fantastic.
Let's do it.
That's what we
Okay.
were trying to get at with our postpartum hacks episode that we did, where we were let's just talk about all the things that we learned postpartum. So I think we would love to have you back to do an episode. Well, I've already felt like having a guest has been so fun this has been such a great conversation. I'm excited about this episode.
Part of my intrusive big dream thoughts is
Yeah.
that we would all just put each other in our little pocket and we could start our own I don't know, something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A birth class.
I know.
Or women's circle.
I know.
Yes. Yes.
You and your 3
Retreat.
part-time jobs over there.
remember the entrepreneurial.
That's true. Which we're always trying to. I was trying to think of a way to make more of a passive income.
It's at least a 2 times a week discussion.
Yep. Yes. Okay. Well, let's wrap it up here, I think. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you listened to the full 2 hours, I think I definitely will do like a part 1, part 2 for this conversation. And we are so grateful that you came. This means so much to me that you came. I'm just a little emotional baby over here. But wow, this was really good. This was a great conversation. If any of this podcast resonated with you, please feel free to share with a friend who may also resonate. And we look forward to our next guest.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us in today's conversation. We hope this space offered you a spark of meaning, a reminder of your own strength, or simply the comfort of knowing you're not alone in the messy middle of becoming.
If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love for you to share it with a friend, subscribe, or leave us a review. It helps this little community grow.
You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Heart on the Table Pod, where we share more reflections, tarot pulls, and behind-the-scenes glimpses of the podcast.
Until next time, may you keep noticing the magic woven into your everyday life.
Please remember, while we are both licensed clinicians, this podcast is not therapy and does not create a therapeutic relationship. The conversations here are for educational and reflective purposes only. If you are seeking mental health support, we encourage you to connect with a licensed provider in your area. Thanks for listening.